Kawasaki W650 carburetor issues. What can you do and what should you do in case your bike runs only on choke and it refuses to idle without choke? Well, that means that the idle circuit is dirty, most probably. To fix this issue, you need to take off the tank, 2 bolts, and disconnect some hoses. The idea is basically you need to take the carburetor off the engine, right? So you take off the tank, you have to unscrew, there's these screws here that hold the air boxes, so you need to take them out. Now you need to take out the battery. It looks scary, but it's not. It's actually a holder. Everything is connected here. See, as a one unit. So it's not too difficult. You have to disconnect the battery from the top, and then you take it out from this side by unbolting this part. And the tricky part is there are essentially 2 bolts here. See on the fairing, on the rear fairing, 2 bolts there. Anyway, you need to unscrew those bolts and unscrew these bolts here, these 2, and you kind of see what I did. I kind of took off the rear fairing and I hang it on a zip tie. And essentially what you're doing here, you are just kind of you are expanding this and you are removing the side of the airbox if you need to, in order to create space for the carburetor to be taken out from here, right? So these are the intakes, right? See these ones? So you just loosen up those screws. You don't need to take them out. You just loosen up these kind of screws. Those this is a, that keeps it together. On that side as well, you have to remove this part too. This air breather, engine breather hose. By the way, on my bike, this engine breather spews oil into the airbox, so most probably there's a membrane in there that needs to be replaced. However, leave me a comment if you know if this needs to be done or not, or maybe it's not replaceable. I don't know enough about it yet. Yeah, so basically once you take out the carburetor, you will get this. Now, one little note before we go to the carburetor itself. To take it off, you do need to unscrew the throttle. If you don't do that, it will be very difficult to remove the throttle cables from the carburetor. So I recommend just to loosen it up, unscrew it like that. So you do need to do this, you do need to screw this all the way in, both the accelerator and decelerator cables. You have to screw them both back in so that they're more flexible. That way it's easier to unhook everything here. Yeah, so basically after that, you go to this guy. So you don't need to disassemble all of it. Like in a lot of videos, people go all the way and disassemble everything. What you're concerned with, is just the idle circuit. So what is the idle? Where's the idle circuit? So you see, when you put the carburetor goes, okay, so like from the right side there's an engine, from the left side there's an airbox. So let's start from the airbox. So from the airbox side, you basically have these 2 holes. So the pilot jet, which is the part of the idle circuit, is the left, not the central one. See, the center goes to the main jet, but you're concerned with this hole on the left. So this hole takes the air in through, there's a tube there, and it takes the air into the little pilot jet. Okay, so where is this pilot jet? Okay, so this pilot jet, if you take out the carburetor balls, the pilot jet is hidden in there. I took it out, and it's tiny. It looks like this. This is the pilot jet. Okay, so this guy is responsible for fueling your bike, or mixing fuel and air that comes to that hole that I just mentioned. It mixes together and it fuels the bike up until about 3000 RPM. So everything that happens before 3000 RPM, you're dealing with this guy. In my case, this is OEM standard size. No one increased it. It's 35, number 35 here. Okay, so what you do, you take it out, unscrew it with a flat screwdriver. Make sure that the screwdriver fits perfectly, because this is brass and you can screw it up very easily. Okay, so and you take it out and you basically clean it. There's all kinds of like cleaning kits available for these kind of things, but what I use is just you know, if you take this kind of brush, metal brush, take out one of the hairs from this brush, pull it out with pliers, and just go through the holes there, because these holes are tiny, they're really small. So you just use that, and what you do is you kind of if you want to see if it's clear or not, you just kind of look at the light, right? You put it against the light and see if it's clogged or not. Once you make sure that this pilot jet is clean, you put it back, and then what you do is you take a carburetor cleaner. Sometimes people call it throttle body cleaner, you know, choke carburetor cleaner. And what you do is, first, sorry, I forgot. So you take out the idle mixture, idle screw, right? This is the idle screw here. So you take this out on both sides. So everything I say applicable to both sides. Take it out, and what you do is you spray with a carburetor cleaner in this hole, which is your idle screw, right? So what happens is there is the idle circuit. Really, you imagine there is a tunnel between all of this through the pilot jet to here, and the see this little hole right there, that one there, not the big one on the left, not the big one, the small one right there. See that one? This is the hole through which you idle. This is the hole through which essentially the gas mixed with air, well, kind of mostly gas, comes out and mixes with this air that's flowing through here, right? Into the, remember, this is the engine side, right? So it goes into the engine. So through this tiny little hole that is controlled by the idle screw, right? Idle screw controls how much gas is coming out of here while you're idling. So what you need to clean is basically make sure that this guy is clean, the tiny one. So what you need to do is, and also obviously the whole tunnel is clean. So what you do, what I did is I took a carburetor cleaner and I just sprayed it in there, in that hole, see? Made sure that the carburetor liquid came out of here easily. And then I made sure that the carburetor liquid came out of this hole easily, because this is the idle jet, right? They're all connected, here, here, and the back. And then I kind of put carburetor cleaner in both, and then a little bit in the left hole here, right? In the left one here. Be careful, don't spray carburetor cleaner on these plastic parts, because carburetor cleaner has acetone and it ruins plastic and rubber. Okay, there is a reason why I said this, because we didn't disassemble the whole carburetor. See, you have all kinds of like rubber tubes. Carburetor cleaner is really bad for rubber and plastic, so be careful. Don't pour too much, don't spray in there, okay? just spray in the holes that you need to clean. And we're only concerned with the idle circuit. So this hole, this hole, this hole, and the tiny one there. That's all that's involved here. So you pour here, here, and a little bit from there, and then you use compressed air, right? You get your compressed air nozzle like that, like a rubber nozzle, right? And you literally just put air here and here, and make sure that everything is clean and nothing has any remaining parts of carburetor cleaner, because it's corrosive to the rubber. And what I did also, after that's clean on both sides, remember you have to repeat this on both sides. You take, make sure you don't lose any small parts. Like this is, for example, this is how your idle adjustment screw looks like. See, you have small parts like the rubber on the right, and there's a washer and there's a spring. These parts are lost easily, so the system will not work without all of the parts together, so be careful. I also disassembled the coasting accelerator here, that part. So usually when you look at the bike, it looks like this, right? There is a few holes here. This part is covered like that, remember? So you take it out, be careful, there's a strong spring here. So don't, it's gonna spring at you, it's gonna jump at you. So make sure you catch that spring. And I just put a little bit of carb cleaner seed in that hole here. And then inside there, and just made sure that everything's clean here. The coasting accelerator means it's meant to avoid all kinds of either stalling or popping sounds from when you're decreasing the throttle, right? So if you go on throttle and then you suddenly close the throttle, this guy gives a little bit of gas so that you don't suddenly stall, or you suddenly you start the mixture becomes too lean anyway. So basically this guy enriches the mixture so that when you remove the throttle, suddenly the system is smooth. That's what it's there for. And you kind of close it all up, put the jets back in, pilot jet, idle screw. And another thing is these, the carburetor balls, just clean them, okay? Make sure that everything's clean. We're not concerned with the main jet. See, these big screws here, that's the main jet. In my case, everything above 3000 RPM worked fine. So I kind of left them alone. There's no issue with them. Be careful when you are removing this. There is like a gasket here. Make sure the gasket is in good condition. Do not spray carburetor fluid on it, because it will dissolve it. And what I do is I put silicone oil on the gasket just before I install it back. I just spray a little bit of silicone lubricant. Silicone is good for rubber, and it keeps it moist and squishy. So yeah, I might I'm considering to increase the main jet later, like put a larger main jet, because I find that the bike is running a bit too lean, past 3000 RPM. So that's a topic for another video. These are stock, everything's stock here. So yeah, that's what you need to clean. So in general, it's not difficult, it's not complex, it's just a bit time consuming, and it's fun too. Once you do it one time, Second time will be a lot easier. So usually this kind of job is done once, either when you need to do it or once in 2 years. Have fun, guys.